Over the past 3 years, Bozart has explored the borders of the human mind addiction, obsession, and paranoia. What began as an independent, low budget film project gradually became a cinematic language of its own. In today's episode, I had the opportunity to sit down with the incredible minds behind it. Thank you very much for being here with us. We are very excited to have you on the show.
Thanks for having us.
A pleasure to be here.
Let's start with the first film, The Good Addict. Addiction is a sensitive subject, and yet you approached it through something unexpected cheese. How did this idea come up?
Yeah, well, at the time we were interested with the idea of dependencies, but we did not want to use the same usual images of addiction, right?
And I think if you look at cinema history, you already had quite a few movies about more common dependencies such as alcohol, drugs, sex, gambling. But we just wanted to do something a bit more different, I would say.
But why cheese specifically? Was it always clear to you that cheese would become the central metaphor?
Yeah, so cheese felt different. It felt more domestic, intimate. It's always there, it's in the fridge.
And I think it also carries this, I don't know if you agree, but this sense of duality, because it's something which is really comforting, something that is common to all of us, that we all love and eat, but also something that can become quite excessive. So I think it also helped us kind of to put this sense of contradiction in our character throughout the movie.
We also spoke to two of the stars from the film. In Good Addict, you appear in two different roles. Was that intentional?
Yes, in a way. With low-budget cinema, limitations often become part of the language. We didn't have a huge cast, so I had to play in two different roles. But in the end, it worked well. It's like the addiction comes back through different faces.
The film also marked the first appearance of Ozzy in your work. How did you manage to convince him to join the project? At that point, he was already considered one of the most promising actors of his generation.
To be honest, I would say we didn't really have to do a lot of convincing. I think the moment he saw the material, he was on board.
Yeah, definitely. It was quite natural. He right from the start, he knew what we wanted to say, and he didn't ask why cheese. He asked, "How far do you want me to go?"
Ozzy, what did this film mean to you personally?
Yeah, The Good Addict is a special film for me. I think the script was especially powerful. As someone battling addiction myself, has this special place in my heart. I think also the way Emre and Sinan played with the colors was very influential for cinema. My good friend Chris did something similar in Oppenheimer, stating The Good Addict as one of his main inspirations.
After the unexpected success of Good Addict, you moved into a darker territory with your second film, Obsession. Were you afraid of disappointing people with the sequel?
Well, of course. In the beginning, we would be lying if we'd said that we expected the way that people received it.
But I think on the other hand, it also gave us some confidence. I think it showed that our audience was ready to follow us to somewhere a bit more uncomfortable. And I think that's what this movie was. It was something a bit bolder, a bit colder, and also a bit less forgiving.
The film follows a successful academic, someone who appears to have a perfect life, but gradually you discover that he is hiding something monstrous. The film seems to suggest that violence is not the opposite of civilization, but hidden inside it. Is that how you see the characters?
Yeah, exactly. The character is educated, serious, well-spoken. On the surface, he represents control, but deeper down, underneath, there is something deeply broken.
And I think the question we wanted to ask is how much of normality is a performance, actually?
The torture scene became one of the most controversial moments in your work. Many viewers argued that it pushed the boundaries of what should be shown on screen. How do you respond to that criticism?
Mhm. We totally understand the reaction. It's not an easy scene to watch. But discomfort is not failure. Sometimes discomfort is the only honest reaction.
And I mean also like in modern cinema I would say that uneasiness is an emotion which is often avoided. And everything is made to be easily consumed. And we kind of wanted to challenge that, I would say.
We also spoke with Yamaç and Kerem, who starred in that scene. Both of you had difficult, emotionally loaded roles. How did you prepare?
Well, yeah, it was intense. My first time shooting a scene like that, so a good amount of preparation was necessary. We had long conversations before shooting about trust, about boundaries, emotional safety. We also had a mental coach on set, for obvious reasons. But not only that, Kerem helped me a lot shooting that scene. He was very professional. We even had some fun at the end. So also for the preparation part, as you know, the catalyst was drunk during that scene, so I had to manage that part too. Because when you act drunk, you also have to think about the physicality, what the body does with limited inhibition.
In The Catalyst, you play one of the darkest characters in the trilogy. How did you react when Sinan and Emre first approached you with this part?
Yeah. At that time, I was going back and forth between romantic films, rom-coms, lighter stuff. I liked that world, but I also felt ready for something different. Then I met Sinan and Emre, and they came to me with this character. I remember thinking, okay, this is different. I was really attracted, not by the violence, but the way he hides it. He's a man who is obsessed by controlling everything around him. The way he speaks, the way he moves, even the way he looks at people, everything is calculated. So I tried to make him cold, almost elegant, because that's what makes him frightening. There's madness under the surface, but it's dressed like civilization. And of course, the torture scene was very challenging. Yamaç is a great actor, and he certainly played a part. His fear, his vulnerability, it gave the scene its weight. And this is where the audience can see what was always underneath.
And finally, the third film. After addiction and obsession, you arrive at paranoia. You also return to the silent film format, but this time with a much faster, more physical rhythm. Why this change in dynamic?
Because paranoia is movement, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the first movie the character is trapped by his desire. I think with obsession, the second one, he is trapped by his thoughts. But
paranoia is different. Paranoia it runs, it looks behind, and it cannot sit still. So we wanted to change the format. We wanted the viewer to feel unstable and paranoid.
Technically, the film also feels more ambitious. There are handheld shots, mobile movements, drones, gimbals. Was this your most demanding production?
I mean, I would definitely say so. I think we saw the third movie as the pièce de résistance of the whole trilogy, and I think it gave us the opportunity to experiment with a lot of methods and tools we hadn't really mastered yet, but I think that was quite important. I think this lack of control was really part of the cinematic language of the movie, if that makes sense.
Definitely agree.
The film also received the award for Best Soundtrack. Across the trilogy, music has always played an important role, but in Run, with almost no dialogue, it feels especially central. How did you approach the score?
Yo, dude, you know what? I'm only gonna tell you how I did this song. Like, first, you know what? I was completely depressed. Like, I lost my favorite toaster in the meanwhile. I was, like, unable to get out of bed. And then I get this, like, job and they tell me, like, they have, like, this abysmal, like, $4 million. I said, like, no way I'm gonna do this for $4 million, man. And then they kind of convinced me with, like, more money and, like, some other things. And then I ended up doing the whole work in, like, maybe 45, 50 minutes on my computer, and then I spent all the money in, like, you know what, like, so I like some accessories.
This also placed a huge demand on your main actor, William. How important was his performance to the film?
Oh, he was definitely essential. There were even moments that we thought that if we were pushing him too far, physically, emotionally, even spiritually. But he always delivered, and I would even say that it's one of his most complete performances.
So, William, how was it for you to prepare for this role?
I mean, it was definitely unusual. You know, usually when you're preparing for a role, it's all about memorizing your lines, getting into character, building rapport with your co-stars. But in this movie, there were no lines, so obviously most of the training became physical. So that was running, nutrition, recovery, all of that. Honestly, it felt more like preparing for an Ironman rather than preparing for a role in a movie. And you know, I'm quite fit, but this was something else.
After 3 films, 3 years, 3 explorations of the mind, what happens to Bozart now?
Honestly, I would think this is actually a good moment to stop.
Stop?
Yeah, I mean, we always imagined the project as a trilogy, and now that the trilogy is done, it feels like the right moment to shut up forever and let the movies speak for themselves.
And you are at peace with that?
Yeah, I would say so. We are. Honestly, it has been a really good run.
Yeah.